Welcome. Today we're diving into a really fascinating and pretty profound ancient Taoist text. It's called the Supreme Inner Secret True Treasury Scripture. And what we're going to do is unpack its core teachings on reality, the illusions we all get trapped in, and what it says is the path to true enlightenment.
So here's how we're going to break this down. We've split this ancient sermon into 5 key parts to make it all make sense. We'll start with the setting, then explore this incredible metaphor of an all-pervading light, look at 2 different paths to liberation, get into the 5 core virtues, and then finish up with a big question about essence versus appearance.
All right, so let's set the scene. Our story kicks off on a place called Lingjie Mountain, which literally means Spirit Liberation Mountain. And there's this great teacher, the Heavenly Venerable, who's with this absolutely massive gathering of followers. We're talking everyone from immortals and masters all the way down to just regular people. Right from the get-go, the text says all these countless beings are there to find liberation. But here's the thing. Even with this huge, hopeful crowd, the Heavenly Venerable sees a fundamental problem, one that affects every single person there, no matter how advanced they are. He basically says that most people are stuck in what he calls lesser teachings. You know, they might live a long time, maybe even get some cool powers, but they're still tangled up in illusion, in suffering, and in the endless cycle of karma. They haven't found that real ultimate freedom.
So to show them the solution, the Heavenly Venerable does something, well, pretty extraordinary. He doesn't just launch into a speech. Instead, this mysterious and powerful light starts to radiate from him, a light of pure wisdom.
And this light just starts spreading out, shining first towards the east. As it lights up land after land and touches all the beings there, something amazing happens. Everyone who sees it has the exact same universal reaction. It's like they're pulled in by it. All these beings instinctively turn towards the source of this wisdom. And they get it. This isn't just some magic trick. They recognize this light for what it is, the ultimate truth, the highest law, and the supreme teacher they've all been looking for.
But it doesn't just stop in one direction. The light expands everywhere you can imagine. And this is so important. It even shines down into the darkest hells, freeing the souls who are suffering the most. This is a really big deal because it shows that this wisdom, it's for everyone. It plays no favorites. Okay, so we have to be clear. We're not talking about a literal flashlight here. The scripture is very specific about this. This wisdom light is beyond all the ways we normally categorize things. It's not inside or outside, it doesn't have a color or a shape. And here's the kicker. This potential for enlightenment, the text says, is already inside every single one of us.
So now that he has everyone's complete and total attention, the Heavenly Venerable starts to break down this really important idea, that there are basically 2 different ways to approach the spiritual path. On one side, you have what's called the lesser vehicle. This path is all about external goals, living longer, gaining power, but it keeps you tied to the world of rules and consequences. And then you have the great vehicle. That's the path of deep inner transformation that goes beyond all of that and leads to total freedom. And this very scripture we're exploring, it's basically saying, hey, I'm the manual for this great vehicle. It's not presenting itself as just another teaching. It's claiming to be a direct roadmap to understanding the true nature of reality and finally achieving liberation. Okay, that all sounds great, but how do you actually do it, right? How do you travel on this great vehicle? Well, the text doesn't just leave it at philosophy. It gives us 5 core virtues, explaining that for each one, there's kind of the surface level way of doing it, and then there's the deep inner meaning. And here they are: reverence, compassion, forbearance, diligence, and generosity. These 5 practices are the actual method. They're the bridge that takes you from just understanding the path to actually walking it. First up is reverence. On the outside, that's pretty simple. It means respecting your teachers, the holy texts. But the real practice, the inner one, is a total game changer. It's realizing that your own true nature is identical to ultimate reality, to the Tao. It's about revering the sacred that's already inside you. All right, next we have compassion. The outer version is what you'd expect, feeling sorry for people who are hurting. But the deep, inner compassion, that comes from the wisdom of knowing that attachment is what causes suffering in the first place. So real compassion is helping others and yourself break free from those attachments. Then there's forbearance. At first, it's just about having a thick skin, you know? enduring insults without losing your cool. But the real goal is to realize there's no fixed, solid me to insult. If there's no target, the arrows just fall to the ground, right?
Okay, number 4, diligence. Outwardly, this is about hard work, disciplined practice, trying to get somewhere. But the inner version is totally different. It's not about trying. It's a state of constant, effortless awareness. That inner light just shines without looking for a reward or any recognition at all.
And last but not least, generosity. Sure, on the outside, it's about giving stuff away, food, money, whatever. But the highest form of generosity, the text says, is sharing wisdom, sharing the Dharma. Why? Because it's infinite. You can give it to literally everyone, and you never, ever run out. So after the Heavenly Venerable has laid out this whole incredible path, from the core problem all the way to the practices, his most advanced students are still stuck on one final, huge question. It's like the final boss of philosophical problems. They ask him, okay, are essence and appearance the same thing or not? In other words, if our true essential nature is this perfect enlightened wisdom light, then why is our actual life down here, our appearance, so flawed and messy and full of suffering? How can both of those be true at the same time? And you might expect some super complicated philosophical answer, right? But he doesn't do that. He gives them this brilliant, simple analogy. He says reality is like a tree. You can't separate the branch from the root, or the root from the branch. They look different, but they're inseparable parts of one thing. Our messy lives and our perfect nature? Just like that. And to wrap it all up, the text offers one last metaphor for itself. It says to think of this scripture as a great physician, and all these teachings we've just gone through, that's the medicine. It's the medicine that can heal the sickness that comes from seeing the world as divided, from trying to separate the root from the branch. And that's really the final challenge the scripture leaves us with. It flips the question right back at us. If this ancient wisdom really is the medicine, what's the specific sickness it's meant to cure in you? What's the illusion, the attachment, the suffering in your own life that needs healing?